Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Lakelyn Eichenberger, host of the Caregiver Chats podcast. Happy New Year and happy holidays. Today I'm going to overview my top 5 favorite podcast episodes from 2023. We started this podcast back in May, and since then we've covered so many topics, have had so many wonderful guests. If you haven't had a chance to listen yet to our Caregiver Chats podcast, I would encourage you to search for it in your favorite podcasting app, whether that be Apple or Spotify, and be sure to subscribe so you stay up to date on the latest episodes. As I mentioned, today I'm going to share my top 5 favorite episodes. Again, it was so hard to choose just 5, but I can't wait to share them with you. So number 1 on my top 5 list is episode 1. It holds a special place in my heart. It was the first episode of Caregiver Chats, and it was called Am I Really a Caregiver? And in that episode, I talked about the importance of identifying as a caregiver. Many people think that they're just being a good spouse or adult daughter, but really it's important to identify as a caregiver because 1, you're not alone. There are more than 58 million people that are family caregivers here in the US. Another important reason to identify as a caregiver is that it connects you to resources, which leads me to my number 2 favorite episode from 2023. My number 2 favorite episode from 2023 was episode number 3, the 10 resources every caregiver should know. The reason I like this episode so much is it helps you understand some of the lesser known resources that are available to caregivers, like, for example, lending closets for caregiving related equipment, and also disease-specific groups that can help you connect with other caregivers going through very similar caregiving experiences. So if you haven't listened to that one, I hope you go and check out those 10 resources. Coming in number 3 on my top 5 list of favorite podcasts from this year is one of the Managing Relationship podcasts. We did a 3-part series, and my favorite one was about spousal caregiving. And on that episode, I interviewed Laurel Whitman of Well Spouse. Well Spouse is an organization dedicated solely to supporting spousal caregivers. And Laurel got really personal and vulnerable about her own caregiving experience caring for her husband who has MS. She also shared some of the great resources that Well Spouse provides. So if you're a spousal caregiver or just interested in learning more, I would invite you to check out that specific episode. My number 4 favorite episode involves one of my good friends, David Troxel. In episode 9, we talked about tips for hands-on dementia care. We talked about so many different things, including how to turn a no into a yes when supporting your loved one living with Alzheimer's. David also used so many good examples and analogies. One of my favorites was when he described a broken arm and how we can see a broken arm. We might not ask that person to help us move or to go golfing with us, but we can't see a broken brain. And so sometimes when we're working or caring for someone living with Alzheimer's, we tend to forget how the brain is being impacted by the disease. So I'd encourage you to listen to that episode with David to learn more practical tips for hands-on dementia care. To round out my top 5 lists from 2023, it was episode 10 with fellow podcaster Nicole Will of the Will Gather podcast. Nicole and I talked about the entire care continuum that exists for older adults. It can be so overwhelming for family caregivers to navigate that care continuum. So Nicole and I broke it down by each type of service to give caregivers further insights into what is involved with those types of services and things to consider. Nicole also shared her personal caregiving experience supporting her grandma, and she comes from a senior living background and was able to provide interesting insights on senior living. So I hope you go back and listen. Thank you so much for listening to Caregiver Chats, and I hope you enjoyed my top 5 episodes. And if you haven't tuned into the podcast yet, these top 5 would be a great place to start. Also, as we enter this new year, 2024, we're all making resolutions and thinking about the potential of what the year can bring. So for you as a caregiver, I challenge you to think about what are a few things you can maybe do differently in your caregiving journey to maybe make it easier on you or your loved one, maybe to find more balance, allow more time for your self-care. I would love to hear what your resolutions are. Please email me. My email address is caregiverchats@homeinsteadinc.com. I also would love to hear if you have any other questions about caregiving or ideas for future topics that you're excited to learn more about. I look forward to hearing from you. And again, thank you for listening to Caregiver Chats. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on any of the great future episodes we have planned for the year 2024. Happy New Year.